Hi, and welcome to City Beat. I'm Beej, your host, Recreation Coordinator with Lewiston Parks and Recreation. And today we have brand new Fire Chief Garry DeJong. Hey Gary, how are you?
Good morning, Beej. Doing great.
Good to have you on City Beat today. So, you're, like I said, new Fire Chief. You've been around for a little while. Can you just briefly talk about yourself and where you came from and all that fun stuff?
Certainly. We've been here right at 1 year. My wife and I moved from Colorado in September of last year. So right now celebrating 1 year anniversary of being in Lewiston. We moved from Colorado just west of Denver in an area called Evergreen, where I was the fire chief there for 4 years. And prior to that, I was with the Albuquerque Fire Department in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I retired after 20 years of service.
So you've been a firefighter for quite a while.
Quite a while, yes.
Right on.
It's definitely in my blood.
Good. Can you talk to the viewers and kind of tell everybody what's happening at the Lewiston Fire Department?
Well, we have a lot of things going on in the fire department. Right now, this week, actually, we're finishing up our fire prevention programs with our elementary schools in the local area. We have 4 enthusiastic members of our public safety team. Mr. Pierce, who's a puppet, Truckee, who's kind of our MC, and then our famous clowns, Blaze Inferno, doing safety education with our elementary schools. We touch every kindergartner through 6th grader in the valley, and that's right at 3,400 kids that we can start giving them some safety education, not just fire safety, but crossing the street and some other safety factors that sometimes it's kind of hard to get into our young minds before they go and run out into traffic and do things that might harm them. So that's something that we put a lot of time and focus on and support that, because we really feel if we can prepare our young kids a little bit better, it reduces the number of calls we need to go on, but it helps our parents out as well.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, my son just participated in that at McGee Elementary, and so I asked him what happened. He was really excited. He told me everybody got to yell 911 and what that meant.
They certainly have a good time. We get them amped up and their energy level high, so the teachers appreciated it for the last thing on their agenda for the day.
So it sounds like you guys are pretty busy. How busy are you guys at the fire department?
We average about 6,800 to 6,900 calls per year. And when you average that out, that's 19 calls for service per day. The majority of those are for EMS calls, for people who are sick, for accidents, transferring people to the hospital, and taking care of their needs. So really for the area that we serve, we're quite busy for our staffing.
Absolutely. I didn't realize it was that many calls. So 19 a day?
It averages out to 19 a day. And certainly some days are slower, but then we have some days that are much busier.
Wow.
And that is both fire and EMS.
Wow. So how do you guys handle a busy day at the fire department?
Well, we have 3 stations in the city limits, 1 downtown, 1 in the orchards, and 1 up at the airport, as well as we have one of our ambulances stationed out in Asotin County with the Fire Protection District out there. So we have units that we can move back and forth. We keep them dynamic, so if we're having a lot of calls downtown, certainly one of those other units will come back down to help out with those calls. If we have all of our units out, we do what we call emergency callback, and our personnel come back in, and they do get paid for that, and they backstaff some of our other trucks that we have. We have reserve fire engines and we have reserve ambulances for those types of situations. And if things get real crazy, then we have a mutual aid system in place. We have a very good working relationship with the Asotin County Fire Protection District, as well as Whitman Fire District 14 mutual aid. And if things are real bad or we have a real big fire, we can certainly rely on Moscow and Pullman. We have agreements with them as well. So we just get very creative in how we staff. Our crews do a great job of trying to wrap things up with the call and be ready for the next one, because it's becoming more frequent that we end up with multiple calls at one time.
So how do you deal with, I mean, besides, being creative with staffing, how do you deal with, let's say you have a group of guys out and gals out at one call and you get another call? How do you guys deal with that?
Well, the on-duty battalion chief, as he's listening to the calls come out, will start a callback process beforehand. If we have 1 or 2 calls, we're doing just fine. If we start hitting that 3rd call, or if we have a structure fire, then we'll immediately start calling people in right away. We know it's just a matter of time before that next call comes in. So we don't wait for that next call to come in. We're proactive in that aspect. And so we'll start calling in. Sometimes we just call in 2 people. Sometimes we call in 4. When we have a confirmed structure fire, our process is we call in the whole off-duty shift if possible. So that way we restaff all of our stations so we can operate as normal for any additional emergencies for that hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours that we're busy finishing up with that structure fire.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is. They do a great job managing that.
Which makes me think, if there's a phone call for an ambulance or EMS to come out, do you guys charge a fee for that?
For responding to any type of emergency in the city limits, there is no fee. Those, the staffing, the resources, the trucks, that's all paid for by your tax dollars. If you are transported to the hospital by an ambulance, there is a transport fee for the ambulance. So that would be a fee that would be charged on top of what your tax dollars cover. The taxes that we receive are basically to put the resources in place. If it takes 5 minutes at a fire for a little trash can fire, or if it takes 5 hours, it doesn't matter. We do not charge for any of that. If we go to your house to check you out and we find out that you don't need to go to the hospital by ambulance, there is no fee. If we do end up taking you to the hospital or the emergency room, then that's when that fee would be administered.
So if you're going to somebody's house and then taking them to the hospital,
that would be the only time that they are transported. House or like from a motor vehicle accident.
Oh, okay. Before you talked a little bit about going to schools and informing children about fire safety. What else do you guys do, and what recommendations do you have for the public?
We're going into the fall, which becomes a very busy time for us. So we actually have a lot of recommendations. Like to go over maybe 3, 4, or 5 of them. The first one is we've got time change happening. It's the perfect time to go and change the batteries in your smoke detector. Make sure they're working. Make sure you have a fresh battery in there to get through the year or 6 months. Change it with every time change that we go through. We also recommend people get carbon monoxide detectors, not just the smoke detectors. Technology has really changed. If people have old smoke detectors, if they're available to go purchase some new ones, there's new technology. There's dual sensing smoke detectors that help with either fast-growing fires or very slow smoldering fires. They put off different types of particles. So it's just an early warning system that can help us out drastically.
Where can somebody purchase either of those systems?
And they're readily available. They're even available in Walgreens, but Home Depot, hardware stores, any area, generalized store, you can pretty much get them.
Even the carbon monoxide?
Even the carbon monoxide detectors, yes.
Good.
Additionally, it's starting to get a little cool out there, so people are starting to use different heating devices. And we want them just to make sure that they're safe. They check them out. If it's a electrical heater, we don't want them using 3 or 4 extension cords. That causes a lot of resistance and a buildup of heat. Make sure it's fairly new and it's in good working order. Have people check their furnaces and clean the filters. Do they need to be replaced? Additionally, wood stoves, pellet stoves, fireplaces, very big in the area. Make sure those flues and chimneys are cleaned out before we start doing a lot of burning to stay warm for the winter. So certainly that's something that we want to recommend to everyone to get those taken care of as well.
What is the potential hazard? I mean, obviously there's a fire hazard, but what happens if somebody's chimney is not cleaned out or their flue is not cleaned?
Generally what happens, you get a buildup of the soot inside the flue or the chimney going up. And what that does is it can have 2 significant impacts. One is the airflow doesn't go up and out as it should, which can cause smoke to bank down and actually push back out into the area, whether it's a living room, kitchen, bedroom, wherever you may have that. So you could get some smoke or different types of unburned particles into the living space, and certainly that could be hazardous to you. That buildup of soot will just keep building up and restricting that flow, and that soot can catch on fire again, and we get a lot of chimney fires from that. So that burns, and you look up at the top and you'll see it's just like a candle. You have fire coming out, and as long as it stays contained to that flue or the chimney, it's not that big of an issue. We can get in there and with just a regular fire extinguisher put that out. The challenges that we have, if it's old flue material or piping, it wiggles loose, and some of that heat and flame can get out into the actual wood portions of the wall or the chimney, and that's where things can become dangerous. It follows its way up to the roof line and then into the attic area, and things can be very, very destructive at that point.
Can you talk to the viewers about the dangers of heating your home or even inside your garage with a barbecue, specifically charcoal barbecue?
Charcoal and propane, both are very, very dangerous, but charcoal barbecues put off a lot of carbon monoxide. So that's why on those bags of briquettes, when you go outside, it says use outside. You need to have fresh air. Number one, to allow them to burn normally, so it puts the heat off as a cooking device, which is what its intent is. But if it's all confined, that carbon monoxide will build up. And then carbon monoxide is odorless, it's tasteless, so you really don't know the effects as it's happening to you. And you can get sleepy, you can get nauseous, and it could cause you to become unconscious. So certainly any type of heating or cooking device that's intended to be outside really needs to be outside.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to hear about anybody trying to barbecue inside because it's cold, because there are imminent dangers by doing so. There are,
and that's a great segue into one of the Thanksgiving issues that we have, and that is the deep fat fryers that are out there for the turkeys. A lot of people get that oil nice and hot, which inherently by itself is dangerous, so we definitely want to watch our little ones around that. But if it's a little drizzly out or if it's a little cold out, people like putting them underneath the patio or in their garage, and when they drop that cold turkey in there, you get a lot of hot oil and heat going up, and there's been a lot of reports of fires being started by those. So they really need to be out in the open and take the few more steps to cook them. It's a great way to cook the turkeys, but there are some inherent dangers with those as well.
Yeah. What is the fire department's role? I'm going to move on. What is the fire department's role in construction or remodels?
We have a fire prevention division where we have 2 inspectors, and we have a very active role with the building department of the city of Lewiston. There are a lot of codes that we need to follow, and sometimes they can be kind of difficult to work our way through. Our inspectors will review plans, they will make recommendations. We're making sure that there's appropriate water supply for the home or the building. We're making sure that there's enough access to the house and enough exits in and out of the home. Does the building need sprinklers? Do they need a fire detection system? Those are a lot of the big issues that our inspectors will look at. And so when plans are submitted, they go through those looking for those issues. Certainly what we recommend is if someone's entertaining the thought of building a new home, building a new business, doing a remodel, come and talk with our inspectors, contact the building department. There's some processes up front that they can go through to get a lot of that feedback to make it much easier and a smoother process going through the permit and eventually the building process.
Good, that's good to know. Before we run out of time, what are some ways that viewers can contact the fire department, not the emergency number, the non-emergency number or even website?
Absolutely. The number to our main administrative offices is area code 208-743-3554, and that's our headquarters station, so there's people there 7 to 5 Monday through Friday. Certainly you can go to the city website and click on the different departments and click on the fire department, and there's some contact information there for specific people, a direct link to my email, and some other numbers of the local stations for one that's close by to them.
Good to know. So Gary, I want to say thank you so much for hanging out today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for letting the viewers hear some knowledge about stuff that they need to take care of and be aware of for the holiday season coming up and the future. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone here, we will see you next time on City Beat.